right, we'll go ahead and get started. And I'm glad you guys came to learn about formative assessments using technology. And I've met with each one of you prior to this just to kind of get a feel for what you use for formative assessments in the classroom. And I've kind of catered what the two tools we're going to talk about based on what you guys said that you use, which I'm excited because none of you guys have used Kahoot or clickers in the classroom. So I think you'll really like these two things I'm going to show you. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes, like 2 or 3 minutes, to answer 3 questions. So if you have just a little pad of paper, if you'll write down your thoughts, we're going to talk about these 3 questions before we dive in to the tools. You guys ready?
Yes.
Okay, the first question, and you can just jot down one word or phrases. What are things that you look for when you're choosing a formative assessment tool to use in the classroom? Or a formative assessment strategy? So what do you look for? Number 2 is how often do you formatively assess your students? And then the last one is how often should you formatively assess your students? So I'll give you about 2 or 3 minutes. What do you look for when you're choosing a formative assessment? How often do you formatively assess? And how often should you? Ready to go?
Oh, it's right there. But you can also like just search.
Are these your chalk?
Those are old things. Do you want the chalk marker?
I was just going to write down. Thanks.
You might have to like shake it up a little bit.
So what do you look for? What are the things you look for when choosing a formative assessment? How often do you formatively assess? And how often should you? Ready? Okay, I'm going to write them up on the board because we're going to come back to them later, but what are some things that you look for when you're choosing a formative assessment?
I look for things that use equations that can easily be typed in or selected because math can be difficult.
Okay, so the formatting.
Yeah, formatting.
Okay. What else?
I just said like quickly assess, like it's just something that I can go through very quickly and easily and check.
In terms of grading?
Right, yeah. I mean, even if you're not like actually putting it in the grade book, but like, yeah.
To get the results, yeah. What
I'll
else?
look at how the information will be used in the future. So how the data from the assessment can be used in future lessons.
I also look at how many students are engaged at once. So is it going to be just 1 out of 5 people or is it going to be everybody?
Okay, so number,
of students?
try not to get this on. What else? Any other thoughts? I know this was a big one for me, how quickly you could get the results, just because a lot of times the paper pencil is not easy, or not quick to
And I mean, if you're using it for like the next lesson, then obviously you need to know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, any other thoughts on that one?
I just put making sure it's connected to the content in the classroom. So whatever assessment, I want to make sure that it's relevant. I guess that would be the way to say it.
Okay, yeah, these are all good things. How often do you formatively assess, like honestly?
I'd say 5 to 10 times every class.
Okay.
Like mine's a lot.
Ooh, dang.
Yeah, I do a lot.
I said probably once. at least once a class.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes
easy.
more, but never 5.
I'm doing checks. I'm not kidding.
Wow,
I'd say
I
5 to
feel
10
like
times
a
every
bad
class.
teacher.
Yeah.
No, it's a different content.
Yeah, I feel like with me, I was more like you just because with
With
math
math
it was, yeah.
Right, yeah, I'm sure, yeah. Like, it's so, we talk a lot in English, so verbal checks happen all the time, but it's not like I have to write it down and turn it in all the time, you know?
Right.
So,
Okay. And then the last one was how often should you formatively assess? What do you think?
Continuously throughout class, I wrote, like, just nonstop.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same as Claudia because with social studies, I feel like there are a lot of times that I do verbal assessments and
Mhm.
checks with students to make sure they're understanding, but less often that it's written down.
right, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a difference because mine's like a skill, whereas yours is like more of a
Concept of
content learn.
understanding.
Yeah, so it's a different type. So
Yeah, and I think it's cool that we have, you know, all different subjects almost, except science, I guess, represented here. Because I think that the two tools that I'm going to show you, they cover these things that you look for in a formative assessment, and they also can be used for all of our different subject areas. So I'm going to just jump right in and show you Kahoot. And so this short little PowerPoint is going to kind of go through the Kahoot. And the number one thing that you'll hear kids say about once you like start using Kahoot is that it's a really fun, they think of it just as a game. And when I used it in my classrooms when I was here, I found that they didn't think that it was a formative assessment or a quiz or a test, but really I was essentially giving them a quiz, whether I put it in the grade book or not, but they didn't see it at all that way. So we're gonna actually do one first. So if you will the one thing about the Kahoot is they have to have a phone, a tablet, some sort of device to get, so go onto the internet and you just type in kahoot.it. Kahoot.it. Screen. Kahoot.it. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna do one together first.
Seriously, Kingpin.
Okay. And this one, so this Kahoot we're gonna do first.
Very funny, Jimmy. Welcome
It's gonna ask for a game
to
pin,
everybody. I'm
and so you're gonna
Steve
put this in
We're
right
about to play a new animal trivia game.
2, 3, 1, 2, 8, 4.
Pop quiz.
And as you can see, you can have video and sound. Okay.
Oh,
Then it's gonna ask you for a
tonight,
nickname, and you can
here's
just
the
put in
host
your
of the
name.
Tonight Show, Mr. Jimmy Fallon.
Would you recommend that we tell the students put their first and last name?
When I used this at first, I did do first and last name, and then I told them when we got the hang of it, I told them that they could put, I needed their first name somewhere in it, but they could make it like funny. So as long as it wasn't inappropriate, obviously, but
I was thinking for collecting data
Yeah.
purposes.
I just made sure that it had their first name in it. But if you have a bunch of Ashleys or a bunch of Kellys, then you would want first and last name. Okay, so as you can see, Kelly came up, Veronica came up, Claudia came up. So all your students will come up here. And if you don't like their nickname or something, if you can click it and you can kick them out, and I'll show you that in a little bit. So we're gonna go ahead and start.
I'm a freshman.
So you just hit start.
Who knows if they could
Okay, so you are going to click the answers on your screen. So here's the question: who was the tallest U.S. president? So you are going to click on your screen what you think the answer is.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Abraham Lincoln is the correct answer. So 2 of you put Abraham Lincoln, and 1 person put George Washington. And so when you click next, it's going to tell you who's in the lead. So right now, Kelly's in the lead, and it's based on speed and accuracy. So Veronica also got the correct answer, but since she was a little bit slower than Kelly, that's how they rank you on the screen.
Cool.
What bone is this? This is a mixture of questions on this one. Okay, so you can put diagrams up here. Once the data is collected for this question, you can go back to the image to talk about it. So one thing that I saw a lot in geometry especially, if I had a special right triangle up there and they were solving for x, and then so this one, if everybody were to get the right answer, I would just keep going because there's no need to show the image and keep going. But if everybody had put the patella and nobody got the right answer, I can easily, before we even move on to any other question, I can go back to the picture and say, why did you guys get patella instead of that? Show me how you solve it. So you don't have to keep going. You can stop and kind of explain it as
Can you
go.
extend or shorten the time that the
Yes.
kids are on each question?
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So then it
Cool.
shows your right begin. It usually only shows the top 3 or 5 students. So it doesn't show, if you have 30 kids in the class, it doesn't show all 30 kids. So it's not like,
that's
Kelly,
kinda
you're
good.
30. So it only shows the top. In which year was the Jungle Book movie released? And this question I wanted, because you can put video clips in here.
I'm probably way off.
Simple bare necessities. Forget about Joe.
It's 1967, and one person got that correct.
Did you get it?
Yeah, I guess so.
Kelly is
I knew it was in
the
the
lead.
60s, but
A quarter is the same as, and pay attention to this question.
this feels like a trick.
No.
I'm confused. Oh, I get this.
Okay, so all of these answers are correct.
Oh.
Oh, it
So
was a trick.
So everybody gets points for this question, and I know in math, with the new test, they do have multiple answered questions. This particular question, you didn't have to select all of them. I know on the math SOL, for a multiple answer question, you have to have them all selected, but you can put a question in here that will cause them to look at the question.
That felt like a trick. I was like, isn't 1/4 the same
Yeah.
thing?
I want to hear too on that person.
What is the chemical formula for hydrogen peroxide? And there's background music.
Oh,
Okay.
my time's up. I didn't answer.
I wanted to pause on this question just to kind of go back to this for a second. How you talked about formatting,
Oh.
Veronica. This will allow you to do
I put that
subscript and superscript, and you can. This is easily with all the
Did you
different.
do like a square root? Can you do
Yes.
radical? Oh, you
Yes.
can.
You can do radicals.
So what happens if
You can
get
do
the
greater
answer
than,
and it
less
doesn't give
than.
you credit?
What'd you say?
I like the answer. Time was up.
Oh, was the time up?
I had it before the time was
What
up.
did it say her answer was?
Your body contains what
It doesn't
percent water?
Well, you might, that was a little ridiculous.
70%. And everybody got that one.
How do we know that it's going to pop up the same on their computers at the same time?
So-
Like, is there going to be a lag in
Mine
technology?
was a lag. I don't, because I saw her,
Yeah.
she'd already selected. I still was waiting for the to pop up on my screen.
I've never had that happen in class, but I guess it could happen with technology.
Bummer.
Which of the following countries is not a part of North America?
Not part of North America. This feels kind of like a trick.
North.
Oops, I clicked on the wrong one. I hope it's
Ecuador. And everybody had a different answer on that one.
That was me.
Good job.
Question 8. An acoustic piano is generally considered what kind of instrument? And this is another one with a video clip in it. And you can tell Kahoot what part of the video clip you want it to have. It's both of those. So everybody got that one correct. Question 9. The location in London where the Beatles played their last gig is now a museum, a pub, an Abercrombie and Fitch store, or a music store. Is it Abercrombie and Fitch store? No, nobody got that one correct.
We tried it.
And the last question, how many meals a month does a Gila monster typically have at the zoo? How many meals a month? You can see your timers right here.
not get the answer. I don't know why it's.
It is 2, and everybody got that. When I was looking through this earlier, I definitely did not think it was 2. So this made me think of something that maybe if you use this obviously what we're talking about today is using it as a formative assessment, but you could also, just a side note, use this as a warm-up type thing. And the last question, if you were going into some topic that's brand new, you could have a cool, interesting question that's going to lead you into the next topic just as the last question to kind of start the discussion. So when you're finished, it shows the scoreboard, and then it shows who won and how many points they got. So when I did it in algebra and geometry, they wanted to see their name up there, and it's all about how fast you answer and the correctness of your answer. So a lot of times, the kids that were getting a bunch of questions right, if they were only focused on the speed, sometimes it would. I think you accidentally clicked the wrong one time.
Yeah.
So the names are changing all the time, and each question is a lot of points. So you see kids' names like after the questions, they'll be up on the board, and then it'll be like 3 totally new names. So this is Kahoot. So I just wanted to show you.
I know there's only a couple of us in here. Mine right now says top 5. You're a true student of awesome, which is fun and positive. Does it give you that for like all the kids? Do all the kids get some kind of a message? Do you know?
In between the questions, there's a bunch of little motivational statements while you're waiting. So it's in here, since we only have 3 people playing. When you have 20 kids playing, you're kind of as the answers are coming in, they're waiting, and as soon as they click their answer, there's some sort of message that comes up in between each question, and then at the end they should get a message, no matter where they ranked along the. So, and then it can final results. So I'm going to show you in a little bit how to download the results into an Excel and kind of see how everybody did. So that is Kahoot.
Do you get kids to rate at the end? Sorry, I'm asking a million questions. We got this little prompt that says, how would you rate this Kahoot? Do we get the kids to do that usually? Or like
you can.
On a scale of 1 to 5, like what they thought of it?
Yeah.
Did they learn something, and do you recommend it?
Yeah. You could, or if you were pressed for time, you wouldn't have to do that. But
so is that feedback for the site, or is that feedback for the teacher? Just curious.
When you search for Kahoots, the Kahoot will come up and it'll show you the ratings that it has. So it's not necessarily for you, but when you're searching for Kahoots, you can see what students and teachers have said about it.
So you can say, hey, if you want to rate this, go ahead. It's up to you.
Yeah.
Be honest. If you don't feel like it, then don't.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Just curious.
Okay. So let me go back to this. So I'm just going to talk through a couple points. It does create a social environment. It's encouraging students to play learning games together. Like I said earlier, my kids thought of it as a game and would come into class and say, are we doing a Kahoot today? Are we doing a Kahoot today? It brings the student at the back of the classroom to the front. So this particular picture in whatever class that was, they had their student come up and take a picture. You could have a Kahoot board. I thought about this last year. I never actually did it, but you could have a bulletin board of different Kahoots, and you could take pictures of when students won and post them up in the room or something like that. Campfire moment. Everyone is looking up, and it's about how you learn, not what you learn. So one thing I like about Kahoot is that as you guys saw, the answers aren't typed on your screen. They have to look up here, read the question, look at the diagram. Will you hit that?
Yes.
It's still on.
Is this still recording?
Oh wait, it says name Tyler Smith.
The green password. It's still recording.
Yeah, the green light.
I hope so.
You can cut that out. This is really cool. Right?
Yeah, I can cut it out. Okay, so one thing I really like about the Kahoot, especially with the way that the SOLs have changed and how they're so interactive with the questions, is that they really have to look at the question, if there's a diagram, or you can put video clips in here, and really determine what the correct answer is. Now, a lot of times with what I've seen is they know that they get more points the faster that they answer, so they're just concerned with getting the answer in as fast as they can, but it really kind of makes them look up and think before they select their
If you
answer.
get it wrong, don't you get 0 points?
Yes, if you get it wrong, you get 0 points.
So if you go too quick.
If you go too quick, you can just mess up. It does get kind of loud, so one of the Kahoot phrases is learn happy, learn loud. And so there's a couple things up here that are just facts and things about Kahoots. It creates a fun learning game in minutes, or choose from millions ready to play or adapt. And so I'm going to show you how to choose different Kahoots and how to search for them. It works on any device with an internet connection. One thing that is the best about Kahoot is this: 0 setup time, no player accounts required, and one-click gameplay. So you guys didn't have to create an account, you didn't have to put in an email address and create a username and a password that you're going to forget by the time you come to class next time. All you have to do is have that game code, and then you're ready to go. You can connect and play in real time with others. You can play games with other classrooms in the world. If you want more information about that, we can talk about that at another time. But it fosters social learning and deepens pedagogical impact, and it's free to create and play and always will be. So it's not something that you have to subscribe to as a teacher and all of that. So at this time, I'm going to show you how to create your own profile and sort of search through some of the Kahoots. So if you go to getkahoot.com, so go back to the internet. So that was just kind of an overview. You can do a bunch of different questions on here. This keeps locking me out. Okay, so on the internet, you're going to go to getkahoot.com. I'm pretty sure. And then it should show you a website just like this. And then if you haven't already signed up, you would hit sign up for free right here. And then you type in that you are a teacher.
Type in the name of your school.
Yes. And then you just create a username and a password. So just go ahead and create a username if you haven't already. And then once you're in, it will look like this. In. Finish, sorry. No, you're fine. So this is sort of your dashboard or home screen. You got it? I think I got it. Okay, so you can create your own Kahoots, or you can use public Kahoots. The easiest thing to do is to look at the public Kahoots first and see if there's, just for time's sake, see if there's something already out there that's covering the subject that you're trying to assess the students on that day. So you can click on public Kahoots up here if you wanted to look at the ones that were already made. And one sort of tip when you're looking at public Kahoots is really look at the questions and the answers, because I have used a couple Kahoots in class that had an error, or the correct answer was there, but whoever had created that Kahoot had accidentally checked the correct answer as something else, and the kids get so mad when that happens. So just make sure you really read the questions and what they have selected as the answer. So, so Kelly, what unit, what's the topic that we can search?
We're about to do ancient India,
Okay.
or Indus River Valley.
Okay, so I'm just going to type in ancient India. And so here's a bunch of different Kahoots that are titled ancient India.
Ew.
Okay, so if and it tells you right there how many questions it is. So you can kind of, if you're looking for something quick and you know you want 5 questions or less, then you can just skip through those. But say we click on, see, somebody did a test. They have 51 questions on there. Here's an ancient India, that's 5 questions. So if you click on the title, it'll go to this kind of review screen. And so you can see, I always click this show all answers just so it shows you what you're sort of working with. And so you can scroll through.
You have to scroll.
Oh, you have to, yeah. Okay, so you can scroll through, this one was 5 questions, and you can see what it asks. So if these are things that you're covering and this would be a good Kahoot to use, then you could just, it shows you what's their time limit, how many choices they had. The check mark means that's what they have selected as the correct answer, so that's what I was talking about. Just make sure if this really is the answer, but they have that checked, you wouldn't probably want to use this one.
Can you modify someone's pre-made Kahoot?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Okay. So how I used it is, say I wanted to use this Kahoot in my class, I would just hit. You can preview it. It'll go through the whole thing and show you a preview of how it looks. You can hit favorite, and it will add it to your favorites list, which means you can go up here to My Kahoots, go to your favorites, and there it is, ready to play. So like when I'm planning my lessons the day before or the night before, I would just favorite them. You can see all my circles was like one of the last unit we did, so I have all these circle things saved. So I just would put it in my favorites, and then in class you just log in, My Kahoots, My Favorites, and then hit play. And then when you hit play, it just goes straight to the screen. If we were playing this one, you'd hit launch, and it would go from there. And then it would show you the game code right away once I hit launch, and then we would play it together. Let me get out of this. So that's how you use the pre-made ones. Okay, if you go to Created by Me, this is where you can make your own quiz from scratch. And you can see I haven't created any from scratch myself. I've just used a lot of the public ones. And you can duplicate a Kahoot that's already out there and modify it to some degree. So here's Circle Special Segments, one of the ones that I had used. And you can duplicate this. Where's the duplicate button? Let's see. You can duplicate.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
Maybe click on one and then do more actions. Oh, no. No, let's see, now click more actions. See if there's more ways selected.
I know.
What about your question?
This.
No, up above, right beside more actions, that little help question. That's just.
Oh,
That's what I was actually doing.
Okay. There is a way you can duplicate it. I'll have to go back and double check. I thought the last time I thought it was right here, it was in one of these. But I'll figure out where that button is and let you know where the duplicate is. Because then you can just use the questions that's already out there and you can modify them. So I'll figure out where that button is. But yeah, so that's sort of the overview to Kahoots. Now, if you go to your profile, you can see if you click on your name under My Profile, it says My Results. So these are all the Kahoots, and these go back to April when we were doing circles, and algebra we were doing polynomials. So you can see all the ones that we played. And one day, I let them do cartoon characters if you ever just want to do something fun, if they're just being really good. That one is a really fun one because it just, old cartoon characters come up from when they were little and then they just pick what it was. So that was a really fun one to play. But you can click on any of these and download the results and save them. So let's see, I'll choose Circle Vocabulary. So I can hit download. And where did it So this will show, it'll open up in Excel. And so it will show me, so see, I told them that they had to have their first name somewhere. So like Logan the boss, they thought it was so funny. So it'll show their names, and then so red, obviously they got it wrong. So this circumference divided by diameter would be one that I would want to go back over again because a lot of kids were red. This one's about half and half, so I would want to go back over that as well. But it goes through all the questions, and as you can see, you can easily pick out questions, the endpoint at center, and I think on the circle. Yeah, so that would be radius. So most kids knew that. And so this one at the bottom, this student at the bottom, got almost all of them incorrect. And so that's sort of a red flag to me, and I can try to pull that student out of a study block or of a lab if they're in an algebra geometry lab. And so you can see what they chose here. And of the wrong answers, you can see sort of what they selected. So this is how you can view the results easily. So I think that also goes back to just quickly grading it. You can see the results, as soon as you hit finish. And sometimes I put a few of these in the grade book as actual grades. Most of them I just used as formative assessments and just looked at them to see, where we need to kind of go from there. Okay. So any questions on Kahoot? That's kind of the overview of Kahoot. Any questions? Okay. Before we do, George, do you have a question?
Where did you say we go to create our own again?
You go. So let me get out of here.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Go to My Kahoots and see if you go under Created by Me. Make
Okay.
my first quiz.
Okay. Is it pretty self-explanatory?
Yes, and it's real, like how Veronica was saying. I know in math we have a lot of trouble with superscript and subscript and greater than, square root, all the different symbols that we need, and those are available in this. And they used to not be. But
What's
they
the
are.
difference between quiz, discussion, or survey?
The survey will just survey the results. It won't give them like a right or wrong. So I could have put together a survey, like if I hadn't talked to you guys before this, and I had no idea if you used Kahoot, not used Kahoot, what you use for formative assessments, I could have created one that says how I have used technology for formative assessments, and then you guys could have just put in an answer, and it wouldn't come up the same way as a right or wrong answer.
Okay.
I would just get the results of the survey.
Okay. And then what's the discussion?
That I have not used
Okay.
in Kahoot. I've just done the survey and the
I'm sure I can see the
quiz. Yeah. But there's tons of information. There's actually a Kahoot Twitter, if you're on Twitter, and they post different updates and cool things that people have done with Kahoot that they've tweeted out there. So there is a Kahoot Twitter too that kind of has some tips. Okay, before we do clickers, it's 3:29. I'm gonna give you like just 2 or 3 minutes to kind of play around with it and see if you can find any quizzes that you can use coming up. The best thing about Kahoot, like I've said it already, but it's just easy to go out there, find something that's already made that really applies to what you're doing, and favorite it, and then you're ready to go for the next day. So I'm going to give you about 2 or 3 minutes just to look through those, and if you have any questions, let me know. While you're doing that, I'm going to see where that duplicate button is. See if I can find that, and then we'll do clickers. Oh, here we go, Kelly. So if you hover, it's probably because I didn't have the mouse. If you hover your mouse, duplicate comes up.
Oh.
It probably wasn't doing it because I was using the pens. So you can duplicate it, go in, you can edit the title, you can edit the questions. This is question 1. You can
And
drag
then
it.
it'll save it
an
under
image.
my
I can change. Yep, I can change. These are the answers. I can change the answers and see at the bottom. You can delete the question, add another question.
Perfect.
So yeah. I was like, I knew it was up there somewhere.
Well, that'll be good to use. 'Cause I mean, I just looked at one and I thought, I like them all except for I don't know about this one.
Yeah, and you can.
Even like clipping different ones together.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't. I wonder if oh yeah,
Yeah, you're
So
right. I
you just
see
gotta
when you
hover the
hover.
mouse, yeah.
That makes sense.
I thought it was over there with those, but yeah. You hover the mouse, and then since I'm already in my favorites, I can also remove them.
So, okay. I was trying to look at one of the discussion ones. And what it looks like is it's more of like a,
Question that you just put up and then you talk about it.
yeah, I was trying to look
Do they
at
type in
like an
answers?
example. I don't think so. One of them was like discuss with a friend, discuss with a class.
Okay. Did you guys have you found anything that you think you can use? Okay. Once we go through clickers at the end, I'll give you a couple minutes to just look at both of them, and if you have any questions before we're done, I'll be able to answer those. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about clickers. This is a little more complicated than the Kahoot. The Kahoot, like I said, is just easy because you log in as the teacher, you find something that you want to do, you favorite it, and then all the students really have to do is log in and play it. So with clickers, they don't need a device. So if you have a class, I know here at Kinsel the kids are supposed to have their tablets, but if you have a class that, you know, all these kids never bring their tablets and you just having each student have a device is very difficult, this would be a good thing to use because in clickers, only you need a device as the teacher to sort of scan the results. So for clickers, oh, the pen, I'm a smart board. Okay, so you, as the teacher, you would download the app. So in order to scan student responses, you must have the Clickers mobile app installed. So I have it on my phone, and it just looks like the little check mark up there. And once we go through this and we do one, I'll show you how, like we did with Kahoot, I'll show you how to log in and create an account and stuff. Clickers are available for free on the App Store. Only the teacher needs the Clickers app, like I said, and for the iPad, filtered by iPhone only. You can do it on your iPad, but the app is under iPhone only. So you can use your iPad to do it too. One thing you will have to do is print the card. So I've given you guys these little cards, and so the students will need these in order to answer the questions, and I'll kind of explain what this crazy symbol looks like and how they use it. But all the students will need this. You can just print a class set and laminate them, and then when you use them, just pass them out. So you don't have to print them every single time. So you'll print out your cards, and they're free on the clickers.com/cards, and I'll show you where to get all those. Each card has a unique number that can be assigned to individual students. So I have already in my screen logged in you guys' names and assigned it the numbers, so that's sort of how the system knows if Kelly got it right or wrong and so forth. Each side represents an answer choice. You'll add your class to the students page. So with Kahoots, you didn't have to add any of your students because they log in themselves. But with Clickers, you would just have to do a one-time, add all your students in, they get a number, and then you can add up to 63 students per class. So once you have your students, then you can have your questions. So you will create questions in your library. With Clickers, there is no bank of questions. So with Kahoots, it's easy because you don't really have to create anything from scratch. Clickers, you'll put in your own questions, and I'll show you how to do that as well. You can add images, and then once you have students, once you have cards printed, and once you have your questions loaded, you will ask the questions in class, and I'll show you how to do that. And you will select the question, tap the camera icon, and so your kids will hold up their answer based on how they hold the card. And then you will, with your phone, just scan, or your iPad, just scan the class, and the results will come up on the screen. And then you'll view your results. You can share real-time results with the whole class by projecting the live view tab. You can have it show it to you as a graph so that it's not listing who got it right or wrong. And you can review all your results on the reports tab. So you as the teacher can go back later and see exactly who got the questions right or wrong, and so forth. So that's sort of the overview of the steps that it takes. So let's do an example of one to show you what it looks like. So this is in my screen, and I'm going to show you how to get here. So if you'll grab your little cards, I have four questions that I'll show you how to use it. So I'm in live view, and so let's do the first question. It'll come up here on the screen. It should. Did it? Okay, here we go. So, approximately how many public school teachers are there in the United States? So your answers are 1.1 million, 5.5 million, 3.3 million, and 7.7 million. So what you want to do with your card is you want the answer you think is correct to be upright in the top. So if you think A, B, C, or D. So you just hold it up. Once all your students have their answer, you'll take your phone and you'll scan the room. And once I have it scanned, I can go through the graph. And so now we can see out of our 3-person class, 2 people think it's B and 1 person thinks it's C. And I can reveal the answer, which is B. Okay. Let's do another question. This one should be a little bit easier. What is the capital of California? A, B, C, or D? And I'll show you this again too. On your phone, it'll just show you the question, and then you'll hit scan. When people have it, you put the check mark, and it shows you the graph, and the answer is A. Is it true? Okay. So that's how you do it. Let's do one more. This one's a true-false question. As a teacher, I should formatively assess my students. So A is true and B is false. We already kind of talked about this, so you can also do true-false. And everybody hit A, and the answer is A. So that's how you create your own questions. You can move at your own speed because you're selecting the questions on your phone. And then the students can kind of take their time. You can scan for as long as you need to. So like if Claudia held up hers, once and I'll show you, it says that Claudia's is taken, she can put hers down and I can keep scanning the rest of the room. So that's sort of the overview of clickers.
Let's show the kids if their answer's scanned so they know they can put their card down.
Well, their names were highlighted, like when she got hers, like I could see, like, I see the check marks beside it.
Yeah, it'll
Okay.
check that it's, and then they
So
can
that
put it
way, if you missed one, you can be like, oh, you don't have a check by your name. on it.
Yes,
You don't
yeah.
have your answer. Okay.
down. Okay, so go ahead on your tablets, and it's just www.clickers.com, and I'll show you how to set this up. And like I said, it's a little bit more setup than the Kahoots just on your end, but you make the questions what you want, so it makes it easier. So you'll go to Clickers, and up in the top it should say sign up, and it just takes a minute to create an account. And just like Kahoot, the kids will not need a device. Well, Kahoots, they'll have to have their own device, but they won't have to log in. Same with this, they won't have to log in and they won't need a device at all. All right, so once you're in, you want to go to classes, and it should say add new class. See, I created a class that was just formative assessments professional development that has the 3 of you in it. So you can add new class, and you would just name your class whatever you want to name it. 1B, 1A. So you could name it 1A geometry. This part doesn't. No. You can create a class color so it helps you. And then you hit save. And you'll come to this screen. And if you've ever imported your students into the Clickers program, you have to put student first name, last name, student ID, all this information. This is easy. You just type in the student's name and hit enter. Type in the student's name, hit enter. So if I wanted to add Ashley Houchins, just hit enter. Ellie Shetland, enter. Claudia Ocker. You just keep hitting enter. Just like that. So that's a quick. And once you have it created, you can keep these for the whole year. So
Do you delete a kid if they drop the class?
Yeah.
Does it reassign all the numbers?
yeah, delete students. That I don't know. Let's try with Claudia. If we delete Claudia, this cannot be undone.
Deleted.
No, her number goes away. But if I add another one, I wonder if it'll give it her number.
Yeah, see, we can have that.
If I add, curious. If I add somebody else. If I can type. Yeah, it'll reassign the number. So that's cool.
And so when you pass out the cards, you have to make sure, like.
Yes,
Or
you'll
the
have.
kids can know their numbers and be like, all right, come get
Mhm,
your
and
card.
the kids could know their number.
Or you could just write it on the back, like 1A is this person, 2A is that person, or
Mhm,
whatever, like,
mhm.
if you really want to.
Yeah, and if this is something that you used a lot, you could keep them, in a folder somewhere in the room, and just they would, like Veronica said, know their number, and you say, oh, I need number 3, I need number whatever.
Makes sense.
Okay, so that's how you add your students. Once you have students in your class, they'll be in the classes tab like this. To create the questions, you will go to the library. And these are the questions that I had created. You can just click on new question, type whatever you want the question to be. And this one will only let you do multiple choice or true false. So let's say, what's the question about India?
Let's see, what river was ancient India established around? That's just the first thing that came off the top of my head.
Okay, so you just type your question in. What's the correct answer?
Indus River, INDUS River.
Okay, so then you would just click that that's the correct. You would put anything you want in here. Doesn't matter what you put in there. And then you would hit save and create new if you wanted to add a new question. Okay, or if that's your last question, you just hit save. Okay, so that's how, so like I said, it does require more work up front because you have to type in each individual question and make sure that it's the correct answer. And that's how you do that. Now, you have to, this is just a big bank of your questions. And so I think everybody here didn't just have one prep. So I would have all my algebra questions and geometry questions just in here together. So you have to assign these questions to what class you want to be able to answer that question. Okay, so if you click on the question, you would hit add to queue. And it asks you what class do you want this question to be in. So it helps you because when you're looking at it in class, you click on the class and you see the questions that are in queue for that class. So you don't have to scroll through tons of questions on if you're already done with circles and you just add to queue. So if I wanted this in 1A geometry, I would just add it to 1A geometry. Oh, it's adding 3 times. So that's how you add it to the queue. Okay? And then once you do that, you're ready to go. Once you have classes and questions added to the queue, you just hit live view, and that's when you have to go to the app. Okay? So, and I'll show you, you guys don't have to download the app right now, but I'll show you just in the app that you just click on the class, and there's the questions that I would ask. And so once you're in your class, you just hit the question and it comes up automatically. Okay? So, but once you're in the app, it's very easy to use, and then you just scan the room, and you would just scan the questions. And like how you said, it'll check that Kelly answered, that Brown answered, that Claudia answered, and then that's all you do. And if you forget, it's easy. When I first looked at this, it's a little bit confusing between the website and the app thing, but once you hit live view, it should, mine's probably still up. It'll tell you, okay, you need to go to the app now. Once this realizes that I'm not in the app anymore.
You're still on the app.
Yeah, it still thinks I'm in the app, but okay. So that's sort of how Clickers works. Okay? Any questions on Clickers? Okay. So, sort of like wrapping up those two different tools, where do you see these things, your look-fors? Like, what do you think about Cahoots and Clickers? Do you see them being useful in the classroom? Do you think that these look-fors are there? What do you think?
I think they'll be very useful in that they're pretty user-friendly, so I feel like I can do it.
Anything else?
I like that you can make them shorter or longer,
Mm-hmm.
depending on what you have time for or how involved you want to make it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Clickers, I think, would be like how we're talking about using it for formative assessments, but also you could use them for a review. Like if you're going to review for the first 15 minutes of class, you could easily just scan their responses, and that would just be a quick way, and then they would know, oh, I didn't get that one right, or I'm good on that one. So, all right, well, before we go, I know we have about 5 more minutes, but if you guys want to take any time to just look through Cahoots or add any to your favorites, and then I will be here to answer any questions, and that'll be it. And then when you guys are ready, you guys can. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, cool. Well, thank you guys. Hopefully you can use this.
I'm going to try this Cahoots on Wednesday. That's the goal.